In this video, we will be exploring the tax module in YoCart. Running an e-commerce website involves managing a lot of technicalities. And one of the key technicalities is the taxation process, where a seller is responsible for charging sales tax on every product they sell. There are two methods through which sales tax can be managed on YoCart. The first method comprises the use of a third-party API plugin. When a sales tax service plugin is activated, it automatically applies the applicable sales tax charges for each product sold on the platform. In this case, the tax module won't be used much. The second method is a manual process, where the admin creates the sales tax rules for each product category through the tax module. Once the tax rules have been created, they can be linked to the applicable products under the product catalog. In this video, we will be focusing on the second method, where you will learn how to manage the complete tax process manually on YoCart. YoCart has an extensive tax module, whose complete control lies in the admin's hands. Which means, the admin is the one who creates all the tax structures and rules that govern the overall tax process on the platform. Sellers, on the other hand, can only view the tax rules under the tax category module on their dashboard. They cannot create new tax rules for the platform or even their own shop. However, sellers can edit the tax rates defined under the rules created by the admin and link the appropriate tax categories to products they add. This is possible only if the admin has permitted the seller to add products on the platform and/or in their own shop. Else, the seller won't be able to view the tax category module on their dashboard. Before we go ahead, let us list down all the steps you need to follow for the manual tax management process. Now that you have a clear overview, let us have a look at the admin panel to understand the flow of the tax functionality in YoCart. Log into the admin dashboard. Hover over the hamburger icon to expand the navigation panel. Before going to the tax module, let us look at the settings that affect the taxes. To do this, go to Settings. Then, select System Configurations. There are 4 settings that affect how the tax is calculated and how it is displayed at the front end. Each has been explained one after another. For the first 2 settings, scroll down to Checkout. Activate the Allow Seller to Collect Tax feature to allow sellers to collect the tax directly once an order has been marked as completed. With this, the tax collected will be credited to the seller's wallet only for the respective seller-shipped orders. Activate this if you want the tax to be applied to orders after the discount coupons have been applied and all the deductions have been made, if there is any. With this, if an item is worth $100, the discount on it is $40, and the tax is 10%, then, the buyer will be charged for tax on $60, which is derived from $100 minus $40, and not on the complete price, which is $100. For the next 2 settings, scroll back up to Product. On this tab, turn on the toggle switch to activate the tax code field for tax categories only if you are using a plugin. In this case, we are not using a plugin, so we will not be activating it. Next, activate the feature, Product Prices will be inclusive of tax, to allow sellers to add a selling price that is inclusive of the sales tax, for each product inventory added. When activated, the selling price of all products will include the taxes, and the buyers will not have to pay extra tax for the products other than the total selling price. Buyers will be able to view if the product's selling price includes all taxes on the product detail page as shown here. If this feature was inactive, there won't be any such message. Furthermore, with this feature active, the tax will still be calculated and displayed during the checkout. However, the tax amount will be deducted from the selling price and displayed separately as shown here. The net amount in this case is the selling price that was added by the seller. If this feature was inactive, the taxes will be calculated on the selling price and added to it, where the net amount will be higher than the selling price. Based on your requirements, make your selection. Once all the settings have been managed, go back to the navigation panel and scroll down till you reach Tax. Click it to expand the accordion content. The next step towards tax management involves defining the tax structures. Click it, and this will direct you to the tax structures page. If you are new on the platform, you might find the list empty or with a few dummy structures, based on the type of setup you selected while purchasing the platform. Before moving ahead, kindly note that there are two kinds of tax structures: single tax structure and combined tax structure. In a single tax structure, the tax is levied by only one level of government. Government levels can refer to the different governments within a country, such as the federal, state, local, district, and union territory governments, or different government agencies within a country. It can also refer to the governments of different countries. An example of the single tax structure is the U.S. sales tax, which is charged by the U.S. federal government. On the other hand, a combined tax structure is a combination of multiple tax components that are levied by different government levels. An example of this is the goods and services tax, also known as the GST structure, that is prevalent in India. It is a combination of four components, categorized on the basis of the destination territory levying the taxes. YoCart allows you to create different tax structures based on the countries you are operating in. Let us start by creating a single tax structure. To do this, click New and the tax structure setup form will appear on the right side of the screen. This form has two tabs. You cannot navigate to the next tab unless you fill and save the information requested under this tab, which is the General tab. Add the tax name in this field. Leave the combined tax structure toggle switch off since we are creating a single tax structure, and move to the next setting. To update the details in all the available secondary languages, turn on the Update Secondary Language Data toggle switch. And the secondary language data under the Language Data tab will be updated automatically once you click Save. Leave the toggle switch off to manually update the secondary language data through the next tab. It should also be noted that this toggle switch is visible only if you have configured the Microsoft Translator Text API under the System Configuration settings. Once done, click Save. This will direct you to the next tab, which is the Language Data tab. Review the automatically filled data, and close the form if the Auto Translate setting was activated in the last tab. If not, manually update all the secondary languages data by selecting each language one by one from here, and filling the next field in the respective language. Or simply use this autofill icon to automatically update the field in the selected language. Once all the languages have been updated, click Save. Kindly note that there is a Reset button on each tab. If you click it, the fields will be restored with the last saved details. To explain better, let us assume you named the tax structure as tax initially and saved it. Then you decide to change the name to sales tax and edit the field accordingly. However, you feel that tax was a better name and want to restore it. Instead of editing the field again and clicking Save, click Reset. When you do this, the field will be restored to the last saved information of the field. It is also important to note that every form has the same structure, and updating the secondary language data is not crucial for the tax structure to work. Once done, close the form and the tax structure will be visible in the tax structure list. Next, let's set up a combined tax structure, which is made of different tax components. To create a combined tax structure, click New and the tax structure setup form will appear. Add the tax name in the field provided. Since we are creating a combined tax structure, turn on this toggle switch. With this, a new field will appear prompting you to create the components of the combined tax structure. Enter the first tax component name in the field. To add the second tax component, click this plus icon, and another field will appear below it. Add all the components that fall under this combined tax structure using the plus icon. To delete a component, click the delete icon beside it. At least one component is required for a combined tax structure. Due to this, the system will not allow you to delete the last remaining component. Turn on this toggle switch to update the secondary data automatically. Once done, click Save. This will take you to the next tab. Review the secondary language data for all languages filled in the provided fields by selecting the language and reviewing the fields accordingly. From here, close the form and the combined tax structure will be added to the list. Each tax structure has two action icons beside them. Click Edit to edit the tax structure. When you click this icon, the tax structure setup form will open again. Edit the data as required. Once done, click Save and the tax structure will be updated accordingly. Click Delete to delete the tax structure. When you click this icon, a warning message prompts you to confirm your action. Click OK to confirm the action, or click Cancel to cancel the action. Kindly note that you cannot delete a tax structure if it is still linked to a tax category rule. If you try to delete it without unlinking it from the tax category, an error message will appear regarding the same, negating the action. Once the tax structures have been created, the next step in the manual tax management process is to add the tax categories. A tax category is a group of tax rules that is applicable on certain types of products. Hence, tax category names may look like product category names. For instance, the tax rules that apply on electronic products can be different than those applicable for clothing products. So, you can create a tax category named electronics, and another tax category named clothing, where each will have their own respective rules. To go to the tax categories page, hover over the navigation bar and click Tax Categories. This will direct you to the tax categories page. If you are new on the platform, the list will be empty or pre-filled with dummy tax categories based on the setup you selected while purchasing the product. To add a new tax category, click New. The tax category setup form will appear on the right side of the page. This form also has two tabs. By default, the General tab has just one field and some settings. However, if you want to give a code to each tax category you create, you will have to activate the tax code field for this form. Enter the tax category name in the first field. It is always a good idea to keep the tax category name the same as the product category name. Moreover, ensure that the tax category name is unique, or else it will display an error message. Turn on the activation status toggle switch to publish it. Leave this toggle switch off if you do not want to publish or use this tax category. Kindly note that products can only be linked to active tax categories. Turn on the Update Secondary Language Data toggle switch to translate the applicable data in all the secondary languages, where the Language Data tab will be automatically filled. Leave it off to manually update the secondary language data through the next tab. Once done, click Save. This will direct you to the next tab, which is the Language Data tab. Review the automatically filled data, and close the form if the Auto Translate setting was activated in the last tab. If not, manually update all the secondary languages data by selecting each language one by one from here, and filling the next field in the respective language. Or simply use this autofill icon to automatically update the field in the selected language. Once all the languages are updated, click Save. Use the Reset button as and when required, to reset the fields to the last saved detail. You can also skip this tab if you do not want to update the secondary language data at the moment. Simply fill the information under the General tab, save it, and then close the form. The tax category will be created and added to the list. Each tax category in the list has three action icons beside it, namely Edit, Tax Categories Rules, and Delete. Click Edit to update the details of the tax category. The tax category setup form will open with all the fields pre-filled according to the data you added initially. Edit the fields accordingly in each tab. Once done, click Save and the tax category will be updated accordingly. The next icon is the Tax Categories Rules icon. Click this icon to add the tax rules that are applicable for the respective tax category. This will direct you to the respective tax categories rules page. You can add as many tax rules for this tax category, and it will all be listed here. But since you just created the category, this list is empty. To add a tax rule, click New. The tax category rule setup form will appear. It has only one tab. Add a rule name that can help you differentiate it from the other tax rules easily. Then, add the tax rate. This is the total tax rate that will be applied according to the conditions set for this rule, regardless of its tax structure. Kindly note that each tax rule is created based on the destination country and/or state that is receiving the order. The destination country usually has different sales tax rules for orders coming in from different regions of the world. So the next step includes defining the country and state or states from where the order will be shipped. Click the field and scroll through the list to select the applicable country. Kindly note that while making a country selection, only one country can be selected. Select the option, Rest of the World, for when all the countries in the world follow the same tax rule for the destination country. When you select Rest of the World as the option, the next field becomes inaccessible, as it is no longer applicable. However, if you select a specific country in the previous field, a list of the country's states appear in this field. In this case, you can select multiple states from the list. To select multiple states, hold down the Control button if you have a Windows system, or the Command button in a Mac system, while you select the states from the list. With this, the applicable states will be selected. For this example, let us assume that the tax rule is imposed on every country in the world and select Rest of the World as the option. Scroll down to the next field to define the country and states to which the order is being shipped to, that is, the shipping destination. First, select the destination country in this field. Kindly note that you can only select one country. If the rule is applicable for orders shipped to every country in the world, select Rest of the World as the option. When you do this, the next two fields become inaccessible as they are no longer applicable. If you select a country, this field is updated with a list of the respective country's states. However, before you select the applicable states, you need to select whether the states you are selecting will be included or excluded from the tax rule. Click the State Type field, and you will see three options under it, namely All States, Include States, and Exclude States. Let us look at what happens when you select each of these options one by one. Select the option All States if all the states of the selected country are applicable for this rule. When you select this option, the next field where you need to select the states becomes inaccessible as it is no longer applicable. Select the option Include States if only some of the states are included and applicable for this rule. Once you select this option, whatever state you select in the next field will be considered as the states that are part of the rule. Select the option Exclude States if some of the states are excluded and not applicable for this rule. Once you select this option, whatever states you select in this field will be considered as the states that are not part of the rule. In this example, we are assuming that this tax rule is applicable for all the states in the USA, excluding Texas and North Carolina. Once done, move to the last field and select the tax structure of this rule. Click it, and a list of all the tax structures that have been created in the system will appear. If you have not yet created any tax structure, this list will be empty. From here, select the tax structure that is applicable for this rule. There are two situations that can arise from this since there are two types of tax structures, namely a single tax structure and a combined tax structure. Let us see what happens when we select each option one by one. Situation 1. Select a single tax structure. In this case, let's select VAT, which is a single tax structure. With this, the VAT will be the total amount you mentioned in the tax rate field, and will be applicable on products based on the tax conditions mentioned in this rule. Situation 2. Select a combined tax structure. In this case, let's select GST. With this, additional fields displaying the components that fall under the combined tax structure will appear below this field. Enter the tax rate for each applicable component of this rule. This means that even though the combined tax structure might have 3 components, this tax rule can be made of just 1, 2 or 3 of these components. In this example, the tax rule follows a combined tax structure named sales tax, and the total sales tax is 12%. However, its bifurcation will be 4%, 6%, 2%, and 0% for each component respectively. It is important to ensure that the proportion of each tax rate should be equal to the total tax rate added in the tax rate field above, else an error will be displayed as shown. In addition to this, kindly note that the component names cannot be edited, and you can only edit the tax rate for each component. Once the details have been added, click Save to create the tax category rule. Use the Reset button as and when required to reset the fields to the last saved detail. To close the form, click the cross icon. With this, the tax rule will be added for the respective tax category. And just like this, you can add multiple tax rules to the list. There are two action icons beside each tax rule, namely Edit and Delete. Click Edit to edit the tax rule, and the tax category rule setup form will open. Edit the details as required and click Save. Click the cross icon to close the form. To delete a tax rule, click the Delete icon. With this, a warning message prompts you to confirm your action. Click OK to confirm the action, or click Cancel to cancel the action. Once all the tax rules are added, go back to the tax categories list. The last icon under the Action column is the Delete icon. Click this to delete the tax category from the system. With this, a warning message prompts you to confirm your action. Click OK to confirm the action, or click Cancel to cancel the action. Kindly note that when you delete a tax category, all the rules under the category will also get deleted. Furthermore, the products that were linked to this category will not have a tax category linked to them anymore. And the respective products will be unpublished from the website. In such a case, you will have to edit the respective products' details and link them with another applicable tax category. The process to link a product with a tax category has been explained later in the video. Once you have set up all the tax categories, there is one last submodule to explore. Hover over the navigation bar and click Tax Categories Rules. A page displaying all the tax rules on the platform, irrespective of the tax category they fall under, will open. Use this page to search for a specific tax rule with the help of the search bar at the top of the list. Enter the tax rule name in the search bar and click Search. The results will show up accordingly. To clear the field, click this cross icon at the end of the search field and the list will be restored. There are two action icons beside each tax rule on this page as well, namely Edit and Delete. Click Edit to edit the tax rule. The tax category rule setup form will open. Edit the fields accordingly, click Save to update it, and close the form. Click Delete to delete the tax rule, and a warning message will appear. Click OK to confirm the action, or click Cancel to cancel the action. Once the complete tax system has been set up, the next step involves linking the product to the appropriate tax category. To do this, hover over the navigation bar and scroll up to Product Management. Click it to expand the accordion content. Select Product Catalog. This will direct you to the platform's product catalog page. Click the Edit icon beside the product that you want to link to the tax category. When you do this, the Edit Product form will open. On the left navigation bar, scroll down and click Tax and Shipping. This will direct you to the Tax and Shipping tab. Click the tax category field and use this search bar to search for the applicable tax category, and then select the category from the resulting list. To save this action, scroll back up and click Save on the right side of the form. With this, the product will be linked to the respective tax category. Following the same process, link all the products with the applicable tax categories. Once done, the system will then help calculate the sales tax of each product, which will be displayed on the order summary page. The calculation of the taxes will be based on the rules set up under the tax category. Now that you know how to create the tax rules and link the tax categories to the respective products, let us take an example to see the working of the tax module by creating multiple tax rules for a tax category and link it to a product. The first step includes creating the tax structures. Create a single tax structure named VAT and a combined tax structure named GST. The next step involves creating the tax category. In this example, we are creating a tax category named Phone, under which we will create 5 tax rules. With the tax category ready, let us begin creating the rules. Rule 1. In the first rule, we will define a combined sales tax rate that is applied for phones shipped to India from the United Kingdom. Give this rule a name. Add its overall tax rate as 18. Select the United Kingdom in this field and all in this field. Select India as the destination country and all states under this field, making this field inaccessible. Then, select the tax structure as GST. Add the component rates according to the overall tax rate added above. Once done, click Save. With this, the first tax rule is created. Rule 2. In the second rule, we will define a single sales tax rate that is applied for phones shipped to the United States from any country in the world. Give this rule a name. Add its overall tax rate as 10. Select Rest of the World in this field. Select the United States as the destination country and all states under this field, making this field inaccessible. Then, select the tax structure as VAT. Once done, click Save and the second rule is ready. Rule 3. In the third rule, we will define a single sales tax rate that is applied for phones shipped to Berlin, Germany, from any country in the world. Give this rule a name. Add its overall tax rate as 8. Select Rest of the World in this field. Select Germany as the destination country. Under this field, select Include States. Then, under this field, select Berlin. From here, select the tax structure as VAT. Once done, click Save and the third rule is ready. Rule 4. In the fourth rule, we will define a single sales tax rate that is applied for phones shipped from any country in the world to any state in Germany, excluding Berlin and Hamburg. Give this rule a name. Add its overall tax rate as 12. Select Rest of the World in this field. Select Germany as the destination country. Under this field, select Exclude States. And under this field, select Berlin. Then, hold down the Control button on your keyboard and select Hamburg as well. With this, both states will be selected. Then, select the tax structure as VAT. Once done, click Save and the fourth rule is ready. With this, the phone tax category has its 4 main rules formed. Now, assuming you do not know the rest of the rules, or if the rest of the world destinations have the same tax rate, it is important to create a general tax rule for the same. If you do not create this rule, no tax will be calculated at the front end for such destinations. Hence, every tax category needs a general tax rule like the next one. Rule 5. In the last rule, we will define a single sales tax rate that is applied for phones shipped from anywhere in the world to anywhere in the world. This rule is for any location, for which specific rules have not been defined. Give this rule a name. Add its overall tax rate as 4. However, if you want to keep the tax as 0, you can enter 0 as the tax rate as well. Select Rest of the World in this field. And Rest of the World in this field as well. Then, select the tax structure as VAT. Once done, click Save and the fifth rule is ready. With all the 5 rules in place, the phone tax category is ready to be linked to a product. In this case, we will link it to a product that is being sold by a seller in the United Kingdom. With everything set up, let us now see how these rules affect the tax rate of this product based on the buyer's address. Visit the front end directly from here by clicking the View Store icon. Ensure that a buyer's account has been logged in to make the purchase. Add the product to the cart, go to the checkout page and click Checkout. To see how the rules work, we will be using 5 different shipping addresses one after another. The first shipping address will be a place in India. Once you select this address, the tax rate appears as per the Rule 1 that we created. Change the address to a place in the United States, and the tax rate changes as per the Rule 2. Change it to Berlin, Germany, and the tax rate changes as per Rule 3. Change the address to Bavaria, Germany, and the tax rate changes as per Rule 4. At last, change the address to anywhere in the world except the United States, India, or Germany. In this case, we added the shipping address as a place in Taiwan. And with this, the tax rate changes as per Rule 5. In short, the tax rate will always be calculated during checkout, based on the rules you set up for the tax category linked to the product being purchased. And just like this, you can easily manage the manual tax process on the platform. Nonetheless, if you need additional help with the tax rules, it is always a good idea to consult your CA, or you can simply opt for a third-party plugin to manage the whole tax system automatically. For further queries related to the platform, contact our support team.